So our next speaker is a consummate academic. He's the current Professor of General Jurisprudence and Dean of the University of Ghana School of Law. He's a visiting professor at the Harvard Law School, University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School. He has over 100 publications to his name and has delivered over 500, one person no, has delivered over 500 papers and presentations on all the continents on God's green earth. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Professor Raymond Atuguba. Oh, I can't see your shouting. I can't see your shouting.
Good afternoon. And may I stand on the existing protocol? So when I was called to the bar in the 20th century with my good friend Isabel, we didn't have any orientation. So I must thank the Greater Accra Bar for this initiative. In the next 9 minutes, I wish to communicate to you two sets of things. The first are 3 fallacies about legal academia and public interest practice that I would name and correct. The second are 2 truths about legal academia and public interest that I would state. Let's start with the fallacies. The first fallacy is that after your call to the bar, you have one of 3 choices: private practice, public sector, and the not-for-profit sector, which includes academia. And you have to pick one. This is absolutely not true. My senior is from 1995. I was a law student working in his firm, and he used to bully us. He's worked in all 3 sectors before. When we were working on data center, it was a Ford Foundation grant from the not-for-profit sector that funded that work. And of course, he's worked in the private sector and has worked for public sector institutions. The same applies to Madam President. Madam President worked with FIDA. That's not private practice, is it? The same applies to Isabel. And is taught in the Ghana School of Law. That's academia. Isabel is teaching at the Ghana School of Law. So the first fallacy is that you have to choose one. That's not the case. The right question to ask is, 1, at what points in your life, in your professional life, would you be working in these 3? And the second question to ask is, if, like me, you work in all 3 at the same time, simultaneously, what proportions of your time are you going to devote to each of the 3? Are we communicating? That's the first fallacy. I'll move on to the second fallacy. The second fallacy is that private practice is where the money is. Remember the prayer this afternoon? This is not true. If you examine today's legal services market that is choked in Accra and Kumasi, it's going to take a young lawyer a hell lot of time before they can get those briefs that bring real money. And even for everyone chasing that real money in those amounts, it is so difficult getting to that 5 percentile that make the real money. So it's not true that it is only in private practice that the bucks are. In the non-profit world, there are real greenbacks. I know a young lawyer who is on a salary of about $10,000, and you know what that means in Ghana today? A month sitting here in Ghana and working for an international NGO. Even in legal academia, with the rise of special programs, academics can make a lot of money just teaching. Because I'm dean, I am unable to teach on our special programs, but I can make half my monthly Government of Ghana salary teaching for one evening on a special program. So the second fallacy is that the money is all in the private sector and in private practice. That is not true. The money is in all the three sectors. The third and last fallacy. The third and last fallacy is that law teaching only relates to when law lecturers seek to impart knowledge and skills to law students. That is a fallacy. The truth is that every lawyer is a law teacher. You have to teach your colleagues the law. You have to teach your juniors the law. You have to teach your pupils the law when you do qualify to take on pupils. And although they don't like to admit it, you have to teach your seniors and the judges the law sometimes. So every lawyer is a law teacher. It's not just us who lecture, who teach law. And a great lawyer is also the one who is able to teach others the legal principles that they learn and practice on a day-to-day basis. So those are the three truths. Those are the three fallacies, and I'll go to the two truths. The first truth is that teaching keeps the brain active. And science has shown that those who keep their brains active live happier and longer. It's a scientific fact. I am not stating it. So if you want to live long and you want to live happy, don't follow Ace into private practice. Consider academia and what? Public interest. The second truth is that money is important, but it's less important than life, health, relationships, reputation, and so on. So you need to watch that. And these things that I have mentioned are more easily nurtured in academia and in public practice than in private practice. If you don't know that yet, you will get to find out. I'll give you some examples. When I worked as executive secretary to a president, difficult job. One of the things that saved me were the thousands of students that I had taught in the law school, University of Ghana School of Law, the business school, Islamic University, and some abroad, who were dotted around the country and around the world. And they kept saving me at every point in time. They would call me and give me critical information. They would call me on people who had brought things about me to publish. They would say, oh, Prof, we've read this thing. This is not you. We're not going to publish it. coming. And it was always my students. Because everywhere they were planted, not by design, but I just happened to teach them. There was a point at which all the military chiefs were my former students. The chief of army staff, the chief of, because I taught at the School of Administration and they came to do a bachelor's degree or a master's degree and I taught them administrative law. So I learned from that experience that there is something in public interest and something in academia that you can't quantify in money. Okay. All the work I did in Nima and in other deprived parts of Accra paid off. Because anytime there was commotion, I knew who to call. I knew the people whose phone numbers would get things to calm down. Because these are the people who were defending when we came out of law school. And some of them they had grown up and become mature in whatever they were doing. And they were doing it even better than when we were working for them. So that's the second truth, that there are certain things that are not quantifiable in money. And in the space of academia and in the space of public interest, you have a greater opportunity to nurture those things. And they would benefit you in the future. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Prof. Delivered like an academic in points and explanation. So we'll take questions.